Morning. How are you guys? So I'm delighted to be here with all of you today. So I spent a lot of time in the South as a kid. Mama grew up on this farm in Knoxville. Daddy grew up on a farm in Mullen. So sometimes when I get back to the South, this little Southern thing be coming out up in me. I don't even know where it be coming from. I just get excited. Y'all ain't gonna judge me though, are you? Don't be judging me now. Anybody wake up here today to be average? I mean, you woke up, put your feet over to the side of the bed and said, whoop, there it is, Captain Average. I mean, maybe average is your thing. Anybody average your thing? Good, I just want to make sure I'm in the right room today. Because I firmly believe, ladies and gentlemen, that average is the enemy of awesome. So if you haven't tasted awesome in a while, go ahead and lick your lips. Get that up in you, huh? Because this is awesome today. So we're going to have a little fun. Is that okay today? Learn a little bit? All right, great. So I get to write and research and speak about positive emotions for a living. But I have a confession to make. I'm not always so positive myself. And I learned that just the other day. You see, like so many of you, I struggle with this whole work-life balance thing. So what does a loving husband do? I set up a date night. See, I'm on the road a lot. So I told my wife, we're going to go out and celebrate on a Friday night. And, I looked around and found one of them fancy restaurants. You might have heard of it, Ruby Tuesday. So I had called ahead. I talked to one of them old girls, got a little side table in the corner, real quiet. Ruby Tuesday can do that to you, right? But just so happened, I was rushing home. It was a Friday, and the airlines weren't cooperating. So I was going to be about an hour or so late. So I'm driving down the highway, and I'm getting my honey, my bride at 19 years, she's blowing my phone up like, where are you? So I get home, and as I'm walking in the door, I got 4 daughters. They're running around like crazy. The babysitter's coming. The dog is outside. The Domino's guy is coming. I try to sneak upstairs. I got to put on my gear. It's a Friday night, right? So I had to grab my skinny jeans. I'm trying to put them bad boys on, but I gained a little weight, so, they're not going up so easy, right? So I'm doing my thing, and then all of a sudden my wife, the mother of my kids, she looks over at me, and she says, sweetheart, how do I look? Now, keep in mind, big boy's an hour late. The dog is outside. The kids are running around. They got friends over, the pizza guy, the babysitter, all this stuff. I'm trying to put my skinnies on. She says, how do I look? In that tender moment, because I'm the romantic type, I say, sweetheart, you look okay. And I tried to catch the O. I tried so hard to catch that O. But the mother of my 4 kids, my bride of 19 years, I just told her that she looked okay. Now, as you can imagine, there weren't too many positive emotions in that conversation, were there? As I tried to pick her and myself off the floor. But I would submit to all of you guys that I'm probably not alone. In our dorm rooms, classrooms, and break rooms every day, we tell people that they're just okay, that you're just average. And I don't know about you, but I didn't wake up today just to be average. So I'm going to tell you 3 stories from my life, that's it, no more, that had a real profound effect on who I am, how I ended up here, and how it affects organizational performance today. Just 3. But before I begin, I think it's important that you know a little bit about me. See, I was born in 1969 to a black father and a white mother. Daddy grew up in Mullins, Mom grew up in Knoxville, but they met in an A&P, a grocery store. Dad was the produce manager, a 9th grade dropout. Was in the Korean War, so he fell in love with a white woman in the segregated South. Dad was rocking the afro like Dr. J back in the day. Had the big old mustache, thought he was a Mac Daddy, the romantic type. So somehow Mom and Dad fell in love. But it just so happened in the segregated South, a black man and a white woman, So what happened is, my grandfather at the time found out. And he wasn't too pleased that his daughter was dating a black man. It just so happened, though, that he was a part of this loosely affiliated group that liked to wear bed sheets on their head and burn crosses on the front yard. So they had to sneak around a little bit, because that's what love does. Love can't be denied. So Dad and his friends, so to speak, that group of sorts, they went around looking for dear old Dad. And they trying to have a conversation. I'm sure it was one of them crucial conversations, you know. Y'all heard of them? Them crucial conversations. They missed dear old Dad about 5 or 6 minutes. About 5 or 6 minutes. How 5 or 6 minutes could matter that much. So Mom and Dad at the time literally escaped for their lives and ran to Knoxville, Tennessee. My mother had just graduated from high school. She was 18. Escaped to Washington, D.C. 2 years later, I was born, light-skinned, green-eyed Devin Hughes, living in a predominantly black neighborhood. But I don't look black. Always trying to grow up and see how I fit in. Am I black or am I white? No Christmas cards or birthday cards or any of that stuff. Disowned by both sides. No one wanted anything to do with us. And I've got a father who's a 9th grade dropout and a mother who just finished high school, trying to figure out what life's going to look like. Dysfunction was my new normal, ladies and gentlemen, because both of my parents had addiction issues. And I thought school was going to be better. I thought school was going to be my salvation. So on the first day of school, I remember it was like yesterday. Dad was rocking that big old afro again like Dr. J, and I'm squeezing his little hand, and we're walking into kindergarten, and I'm so excited. And the teacher's sitting there at the front desk, and we go up. I'm squeezing dear old Dad's hand, and she looks up. And then she looks down, and she looks up and looks at me and says, "Is your mama here?" As if it's incongruent for a black man to be holding a little white boy's hand on the first day of school. So at the tender age of 5, I had already tasted judgment, what it felt like not to fit in. And it didn't taste good. And it just so happened, folks, again, I struggled in school like so many of you. I couldn't read. I was struggling. Y'all remember what they did with the big old boys or any boys or girls when they struggled in school? You know what they did? Anyone remember what they did with them? Anybody? Special ed, huh? Who said that? Yeah, some of y'all look familiar. We're all in my classes. I knew you looked familiar. Yeah, I used to cheat off you. Remember that? Yeah, that little aide used to come in. She's like, "Devin." And I used to try to duck down, and she used to walk me on out to the special ed class. So that was school for me. Killing my self-esteem and self-doubt, and feeling like I didn't fit in. Fortunately, though, one day, I'm sitting home with Mama, and she said, "I don't know about you, boy. Some days you just got moments of brilliance, and the other day you can't even write a sentence." For some strange reason, ladies and gentlemen, she took me to the University of Maryland in College Park. She got me tested. And I was dyslexic. And you would think something like that would be a bad thing, but for me it was hope. I wasn't stupid, that there was hope. And so lo and behold, she got me a tutor. And I met with her 3 days a week. And we would stay after school, and I'd go to her home, and we would learn. And why that was so compelling and why I share it with you today is because that little lady, she was about 4'8". Little troll used to come in, little German lady. Right? She used to get all up in my grill. No excuses. Used to say to me over and over, "Boy, you could find a way or an excuse. A way or an excuse." And I'd be sitting down, and I'd have a little bit of success, a little bit of win. And she was the first person that came up to me, made eye contact, took her right hand. She'd come across that desk and go, "You're awesome!" Bam! And she'd let me know. Every time I had a little win, she'd come across again. "You're awesome!" Bam! And I yearned for that. That was my first taste of academic success. And in those tender moments with that lady, everything started to change. I started to think that I had hope. It was crazy to think a high five and "you're awesome" could matter that much to a kid. But oh my God, it does. So I want you to think about that. How many folks in our world right now need a high five and "you're awesome"? See, because we live in a world right now where it's really sexy to share bad news. My signature strength is I'm really good at telling you what you did wrong. Would you like some? Right? When's the last time you saw Anderson Cooper or anybody come across the news and tell someone, "Bam, you're awesome"? It's either calamity, Ebola, Donald Trump, or whomever. It's all craziness, but we don't get in the habit of talking about the good stuff anymore, do we? That's why Mama used to say that sharing is caring. Can I hear you say it? So we got to get in the habit of sharing good news. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to humor me. I'd like you to look to your left or to your right. I want you to make eye contact with someone next to you, and I want you to tell them, "You're awesome!" And for the rest of this conference, and the rest of these 2 days, if you hear something or someone says something, I don't want you to wait. I want you to come across that seat, bam, and let them know. Could we do that? Does it ever get old telling someone they're awesome? Good. So quite often, and what did I do? Sometimes wisdom comes from unbelievable places. I have 4 daughters. My youngest is Finley Chase Hughes. She graduated valedictorian from her 5th grade class. Right? Right? You think I should be proud, right? Well, she wasn't really valedictorian. I just told her she was to work on her self-esteem, all right? She's walking around the kitchen, MIT, Princeton, Cornell, but I digress. Either way. But she came home one day. I had just got off the road. She said, Daddy, I learned something in school today. I happened to be in the kitchen. I had just walked in the house. She said, I learned in school today. Our teacher told us that if someone says something or does something that's really good or neat or awesome, that you have permission to get up out of your seat and go find him or her and let them know that they're doing great work. What do you guys think about that? Like literally get up in the middle, whatever is going on. I mean, you literally can walk over and let him or her know and bam, and let them know. Well, I said, Finn, I love that. I said, well, how are you going to let them know that he or she is awesome? Well, she said, Daddy, that's the fun part. You ready to learn something today, big boy? I'm like, it's back to school night in my kitchen, I guess, right? I said, I'm ready. Well, she said, Dad, she told us that we put up our hands like this. Anybody know what this is in 5th grade? I need a volunteer. Would you come on up here, big boy? Come on up on stage with me. Give him a round of applause. So this is going to be me and Finley. We're going to react, all right? So let's just say I'm sitting at my little desk, and he just did some awesome stuff, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm paying attention. Yeah. Oh, my God, that was awesome. So I would come over, and I would put up, this is a dog, ladies and gentlemen. Can I see your dog? So I'd come over to him, I'd go, dog, pound. Bam, and I'd let him know. Dog, pound. Bam, and let him know. So I'd like you to look to the left or to your right. I want you to put up the dog and let him know. Dog, pound. Thank you very much. Now, if you got an art background, there's a style to it too. I mean, you got to get up in that thing. It's like, boo! Now I joke, but you know what happened in that classroom? You got 5th graders scanning the classroom, trying to find a classmate doing something good. Scientists call that the tetris effect. We can create patterns in our brain to find things and look for things. We think that's a good thing in our classrooms, and our break rooms, and our dorm rooms, and our offices. If we had people coming to work every single day, scanning as leaders, looking for people doing awesome stuff, and in that moment letting them know that they're awesome. Would that be a good thing? Yeah, I think so. I looked at my academic career. All the things that I learned in academia, I was always told to find an anomaly, an error, why sales are down, why we're losing market share, why quality's not improved. But no one ever taught me to look for the good stuff. My signature strength was always finding what's wrong. Would you like some? Hi, I'm Toxic Tim. Hi, think about that. And what's more important than happiness in this world besides maybe healthy? We're taught healthy every day, but no one ever gives us the secret sauce to being happy, do they? Who sat you down and said, if you do these things, you too could be happy? We take it for granted. It's either to get a neck tattoo, skinny jeans, and a new truck than actually work on your happiness. So think about that. So I played college basketball, and I'm watching a game the other night. Everyone know the Golden State Warriors, right? Having an unbelievable year. Steph Curry, you heard of this guy maybe? They're 41-4. I'm watching the game the other night. I think they were playing the Cleveland Cavaliers. Steph Curry has a monster game. he has some kind of great play, and as he's running down the court celebrating, a guy named Draymond Green comes up to him, right, and unannounced and goes, bam, and smacks him right on his right butt cheek. Now, I don't know Steph Curry if he's in to getting spanked on his right butt cheek. Right? That may be his thing. And I don't know if Draymond Green has a certain way that he does it, that no one else does it. But I do know this, culturally in basketball. If Steph Curry, arguably one of the top 3 or 4 people in the NBA, the current MVP, on the #1 team, needs a that boy on his behind in the middle of a game against LeBron James, how many people in this audience whom we work with need a validation to let them know that what they think and what they do matters? And does that matter? Think about that. You see, we argue and sit around and argue whether the glass is half full or half empty, whether there's even a freaking glass, whether we can drink the water in the glass, or where'd the water come from? All that stuff. But I would argue, and the science clearly shows that if we can elicit more positive emotions more often in the workplace or the classroom, every business and educational outcome we care about will improve. We just have to get comfortable talking about the good stuff. Do good things happen here? Yes. But for some reason, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to as a civilization, it's not comfortable talking about the good stuff. When's the last time you went over and high-fived an Excel spreadsheet? That hadn't happened lately, has it? Yeah, so, I mean, as a leadership coach, we're fascinated by a variety of things, but 2 things. Number 1, where's Bigfoot, right? And number 2, what's the secret sauce to being a great leader in the new normal? Any tip or tool or strategy or seminar, we're fascinated. And then I look at the Gallup data, the Gallup employee engagement data, and it suggests that 70% of the planet right now is unhappy at work. 7 out of 10 people right now are coming to work unhappy. Think about that. Anyone here know anybody unhappy at work? Don't point, that's awkward. Come on now. Jesus, like that. I mean, who does that, right? Think about that. So they're either actively unhappy or unhappy. Gallup says they get actively. You know what actively unhappy according to Gallup is? Actively unhappy. I mean, you're so freaking unhappy that you want to go around and share it with everybody. Hey, I hate everything. Would you like some? I'm serving up gossip today. Hey, come have lunch with me. Was that where we've got to as a species? See, I would argue we're better than that. And that's why I do what I do. I would argue that, again, maybe 70%, but again, Gallup says it even better. It's a $450 to $500 billion a year issue in lost productivity with all these unhappy people at work. It's a big deal. How many of us know an in-law, a cousin, sister, brother, someone in our personal life that's unhappy? Yeah, there's the data right there. Every time you pick up the phone and call them, they go right down Interstate Impossible. I mean, I just, for Thanksgiving, went back to Connecticut with my wife. That's where she grew up. We're sitting down. My mother-in-law, she's been 70 years old, cooking in the kitchen on Thanksgiving Day, working her tail off for 6 hours to get Thanksgiving dinner ready. We sit down at the table. My brother-in-law, within the first 5 minutes, he takes a bite of the mashed potatoes and goes, "Dang, Mom, these are kind of cold." Really? Really? I knew they were freaking cold too, but I ain't gonna tell her. It's Thanksgiving, all the awesomeness going around, and that's what you're focused on? But that's what we've got, folks. See, the research is pretty clear. We have got to get comfortable talking about the good stuff because all the outcomes that we care about will improve. If we can get the brain in a more positive state more often, good things will happen. Positive psychologist Barbara Fredrickson even put a number on it, 3 to 1. We need 3 positive emotions for every 1 negative. 3 to 1. Think about your day. Does it work that way? Are you hearing more good news or bad news? Probably more bad news. So we have got to get in the habit. I just heard a story recently about Abraham Lincoln. You guys might have heard of him, right? Supposedly, legend has it that at Abe on his deathbed, after he was assassinated, they found an old withered up newspaper article that he was carrying around from the paper at the time. And the newspaper article he had cut out said that Abe Lincoln was doing a good thing by freeing the slaves. Because as y'all know, at the time, that was pretty controversial. So think about this. Why would Abe Lincoln have to carry around an old cut-up newspaper article in a suit coat jacket? Why would he do that? Now, I don't know Abe, and neither do you, but I can speculate that the reason old Abe he needed to remind himself, give himself a virtual, whether it was a booty bump, a high five, or a dog pound, to remind himself that he was doing the right thing. Folks, we got to make sharing good news sexy again if we care about each other and our own emotional well-being. Now, average is the enemy of awesome. And I would argue that we have settled into this script that it's okay just to show up and be like, eh. See, average is kind of like that tuna fish sandwich that Daddy used to make when Mama traveled. The bread was stale and it never had enough mayonnaise. It was kind of average. We have got to get that average taste out of our mouth. Now, we got two choices, folks. We can either find a way or we can find an excuse. In a world where we celebrate iPhone 6s, skinny jeans, Real Housewives of Atlanta, I would argue let's bring back the connectivity between people. So if you see someone at work or here today who does something awesome, I want to make it a habit to come up and let him or her know. You guys think we can do that? Can we do it? Yeah. So humor me one more time. I'd like you to look to your left or to your right. I want you to make eye contact with someone and tell him or her, "You're awesome!" So, ladies and gentlemen, all good things must end, and so must my time with you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.